If you had a clean palette, would you recommend or introduce the complex billing, business charging, rating, mediation, all that? Is there a need for all of that? Or would you avoid that altogether and just go for a flat rate? Or, as Pak Hazel said earlier, have a toll gate and you just go click, click, click every time somebody goes through your network? Is that a feasible model? Maybe I'll ask the first one first. Do you think we need all of those systems? You've got to bill people. Do you like them, Farah? Do you like those billing systems? Do you do it yourself, or do you let your network provider do it?
We get our CDRs from the network provider, then we rebill, we re-rate, rebill based on our retail rates. Yes, it's hugely complex. But again, I think it's just the way the markets have evolved. If you want to differentiate, you need flexibility in your propositions, and different segments will want different propositions. So, and when you have 10 million customers, just the database that you have to deal with, the amount of data, I don't think it can be avoided actually. But you do see some innovative MVNO models where they price very simply,
yes.
Flat rate, all you can eat kind of thing. I think on the enterprise side, people like Vodafone will tell large companies, give me $100 per employee, don't pay a cent more.
Yes.
Which is innovative, but if you did that to everybody, you'd probably lose money. So I think his job is still safe.
Well, that model is working in France with Free. Free is doing exactly that. They have a flat rate model, and it's 20 euros per month, all you can eat, basically. But if you roam or do anything extraordinary, the price is rather dramatically higher, but they still have to do the billing.
Free will never get 100% market share.
No.
They won't. They'll always be a niche.
Yeah.
So you need to have differentiation.
To do that. Wing, what do you think? Is billing a bugbear of yours, or do you attract people with creative billing?
Yeah, billing is very important, because if you look at the margin erosion in the data side of the business, then you have to find more ways to create value. You can't just go for a simple all-you-can-eat plan. It doesn't make sense. It's economically unviable, suicidal actually.
Are you looking at becoming an MVNE as well? Will you allow other people to use your network, or maybe niche players like M2M? Utility players, etc.
I mean, there's always ways to do that. So, for instance, we invested in a business to deal with cloud computing. So we already have a subsidiary of ours that is a cloud-based service provider. So we certainly believe that cloud computing is going to drive new demand for mobile data. And I don't call it mobile data per se. I think it's wireless data, because when an object is not moving, you can't say that it's not mobile. It's just wireless, right?
Yeah.
So M2M is a wireless opportunity. It's not a mobile opportunity all the time per se. So once you understand the notion of cloud computing and the opportunity that I think Paul laid out quite nicely in terms of segmentation model in the enterprise business, I think there's numerous opportunity where devices ought to be connected, but they are not today connected. And there's new opportunity that is certainly more interesting than just charging people by a flat rate or whatever.
If somebody comes to you, a brand new greenfields operator, Cheryl, and says we're starting from scratch, they probably have either spectrum or some technology they want to work with.
Right.
What would be the recommendation to them in terms of their business systems and their network? Or would you suggest that they look at third parties and even using cloud services to do the billing?
Depends on who comes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if you are... I tend to lean towards being very distinct and clear about your place in the value chain, like Wing mentioned.
Yeah.
Where do you want to play? Are you a technology person? Are you a marketing person? Do you have content? What do you have? If you come and say that I have some spectrum, I am a good technology person, I can run a network, I would say, good. Why don't you build a very good network? A very lean network, a very cost-effective network, and perhaps a very smart network. And let's be a network operator, and we get the marketing guys to market our services. So that's one end of the spectrum. Now, if you are someone who's good, savvy at marketing, for example, my favorite example, TuneTalk, right? They come and they are obviously good at selling themselves, appealing to the consumer, understanding what the consumer wants. And then I would say to them, yeah, why not be an MVNO, right? Package the services together with other offerings, content offerings, services, synergies with your business, and you can be an MVNO. I think that leverages your strengths much better. So I tend to be a little bit towards the camp of let's be distinct and let's leverage our strengths. Yeah.
Do you think if you were setting up a new network now, you'd be very much geared towards M2M business? We talked about M2M possibly being the big growth market, but it's a very small revenue per unit business. But do you have to be the provider of the whole service, or do you partner with a utility company to do smart metering, for example, or an automotive company? Some telcos want to provide the whole food chain. They think that's the only value. Others want to partner and be, you know, work and split the revenues. What's the model that's workable these days, and what's been proven to work?
I think, well, I previously did a survey in the European markets of what kind of MVNO, M2M MVNO models there are, and it seems that there are MVNOs who are offering M2M services, but what they do is they partner multiple networks, even satellite, even Wi-Fi, just to provide connectivity. So the value proposition is this: I get you the connectivity that's best suited for your system. I understand your industry, and I build the connectivity that is best suited for your system, for what you need, and that's it. And I think that's the best way to go. You build a service that's tuned to what your customer wants.
All right, you lean forward again. That's always a sign.
M2M.
M2M.
Well, when I was head of enterprise, we signed Tenaga National.
Yeah.
We deployed about 40,000 M2M SIM
That's
cards.
the grid supply. That's
the remote metering.
The remote metering. But are they the grid? Is Tenaga the grid or the retail?
Distribution.
Distribution. It's the grid.
Monopoly.
Yeah.
Apart from YTL and a few IPPs. Very low ARPU, but very high volume.
Yep.
When things didn't work, they blamed the telco.
Of course.
So when we went back at the contract renewal, we said, hey, why don't we be the turnkey? You know, if you're going to hold us responsible, we'll give you a single neck to choke, but we'll be the main con. Which means we become the SI, we source the meters, we source and it didn't work.
That didn't work either.
It didn't work because it goes back to what I said before about resource. We had no people in Telecom who could run a major project like this, so we would have to outsource it anyway. And you don't have the SI capabilities either. And if the Tenaga is a unique case, but if we were a telco running a network can't afford to specialize like that. We can't go too deep into individual verticals. So you talk about partnering with the right partners. So we just become the pipe, the bit pipe.
Yes.
But we didn't want that. We wanted more value because we're only making like, a few ringgit per month. Yeah. So I don't know the answer, actually. I'm blabbing on, but I don't know the answer.
I think none of us know the answer.
Big guys like Vodafone, they do JVs with SIs, I think Terenci, and all these have failed. Yeah. They've failed. Maybe we'll point Huawei as our M2M SI.
Don't blame Huawei for it. I don't expect them to do everything either.
So that's a good case study. So you guys know about Kindle, right?
Yes.
And you know Kindle has wireless capability, right?
Yep.
So in the US, when Amazon first launched Kindle, my previous company supplied the network for it. So I was involved in that deal. It was a very straightforward deal. Yeah. So we told Amazon, is that, look, your books, your sizes are really not that big. So we're not too concerned about tonnage. So why don't we just do a simple monthly settlement model, whereby you, Kindle, or Amazon rather, you sell the Kindle, it's bundled with connectivity, and since this connectivity is strictly tied to this device and you can do nothing but to download books, tonnage to me is not that big a deal. So we just do a fair model whereby on a per month basis, we have a minimum guarantee, and if you go above and beyond that, if you flatten it over several months' time, we don't worry about it. Wow. Then it will turn out to be an overwhelmingly successful model.
Yes, it is.
And I think, so that's success stories, right? I think the key is that we have to make sure that we understand where we are in the value chain. We know that we are the middle guy. So as a middle guy, let's not be too greedy. But at the same time, we know that Amazon owns the customer, so we let them own the customer. We don't get involved. We don't try to be too cute and put our name in front of the customer. Let them sell the devices. The device come bundled with connectivity. No one asks any question. It just works, and everyone's very happy.
Yeah, nobody knows what network they're on. And then, of course, they had to, when they extended selling the Kindle overseas, they had to form relationships like that. That model has gone into other countries.
It's a fantastic case study.
Yeah, it's a great success story. But it's very hard to get the story from Amazon. They don't tell anybody about it. I tried
So
to
you hear from
research
me.
this.
How about
I've
that?
heard it from you now. We tried to find out exactly how that model worked a while ago. Remember, Joseph, we were talking about that, and it was hard to get answers from anybody on the model, the exact
There you go.
model.
Merry Christmas, my little gift to you.
Thank you very much. There's something for all the networks to think about. We're getting close to the end. I'll offer the floor one more chance to ask a question of these people while you've got all these experts together. Gee, they're a lazy bunch today, aren't they? They're expecting me to do all the work, or you do all the work. We'll end up on the identity thing. One of the things that we're supposed to be good at in the telco industry is knowing our customer and presumably owning the customer. This theory of owning the customer is becoming a bit more blurred as time goes on, because Google will tell you they know as much about our customers as we do, and they think Amazon has got an account with us, or we've got an account, they think they own us. What's the identity? Well, there is one identity that's common or standard, is almost worldwide, is that phone number, that MSISDN has always been a comfortable identity point. But that's changing now. What will be the identity in future? I don't want to have one identity. I sometimes like the idea of being a different person on different networks, right? But, well, different banks particularly, but that's another story altogether. So should we be the arbiters of identity, and should we be providing the security as an industry or as a network operator for others to follow? So when you sign on with your handset, everybody knows who you are, and you can get to Facebook. And at the moment, we go to Facebook and we can sign into 10 other and LinkedIn. Should we be the guys pushing the identity issue and holding the identity? Who wants to answer that one first? That's a tough one, isn't it?
I happen to have an identity-based network, so I think I can say a few words about
Yeah,
that.
good.
So, you know, on our network, for those that use our network, you sign into our network, you basically get to choose your ID. You choose your ID, and you can say Tony Smart Guy.
Yep.
Then Tony Smart Guy at yes.my
It's
becomes
already
your...
taken. I tried to get it. The other
Oh,
day.
bummer. I'll try to say Tony Smart Guy 0 for you. So anyways, Tony Smart Guy at yes.my becomes your email address. And guess what? What is really cool is that we say, hey, Tony, pick your mobile number.
Yeah.
So Tony actually pick your Malaysian mobile number, and that ID and the mobile number are linked together.
Yeah.
So you can be reached on net using your ID, or you can be reached off net using your number. So we say that why tell the customer to have to deal with two identity? When we have one identity, it's two sides of the same coin anyways, right? Now, if you look at how the internet innovates, there are several standards when it comes to how to manage identity, because there are more and more identities these days. The smart way to deal with this is identity federation. So there are numerous well-defined protocols supported by Google's and even Facebook with the Facebook Connect of the like, to do with identity federation. I think the conclusion is that, and I've been doing this studying this for a while now, is that I think we should rest the fact that if you look at our wallet, we have multiple credit cards. We have, let's say, 3 to 4 credit cards. So I think if you look at the digital side of our lives, we should also come to the conclusion that there's never going to be a single identity. There will be several, maybe a handful of 2, 3, 4 key identities that you will hold. The question then is that how do you earn your place to be in that person's wallet, maybe the top slot of that person's wallet. So that's the game that we need to play if you want to play in the internet game.
Okay. Identity? Any thoughts on identity at all? No? Boy, that's a tough one. Oh, identity is really tough at the moment. It's rewarding. It's very rewarding because also you can add security with public and private encryption keys linked to that identity, which makes you a very powerful tool. There's a guy called David Birch who is an expert in this field who preaches to telcos to get into that space because he thinks they're the ones that have got the best opportunity to capture the security market. That means everybody has to come through you at some stage to do any transaction.
Exactly. If you want to be intermediary, you better understand identity.
That's it. Okay. Well, I think we're up. Time's up. Any other questions from the floor? Pat, any other finishing points that you'd like to say about the starting on a clean slate or a clean palette? You can't say anything because you'll tell us to go to Huawei. I know immediately. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank our panellists. Thank you very much.